It is the John Phillips Show. Johnny's on vacation. He'll be back on Monday. It's Randy Wang here. The phone number to join us is 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. Your emails can come in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com and search for the John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts. Well, yesterday was a pretty monumental day, not just in San Francisco, but in Los Angeles as well. I saw alerts in the morning that longtime SFPD Chief Bill Scott was resigning his post. And at first I thought, oh, is this Lurie getting rid of him? What's going on? Then when they have a press conference, it's very friendly, and Bill Scott says he's leaving for a new opportunity. Wonder what that could be. By the time I get home from doing this show, I see what happened. Bill Scott left San Francisco, got on a plane, and got to Los Angeles because he has been hired as LA Metro's new police chief. Except they're not calling it a police chief. They're calling it the chief of the Community Transit Public Safety Department. Oh, boy. Well, let's find out what's going on here. First, let's talk about Bill Scott leaving San Francisco. Here's KGO.
Okay, let's get you back to the big story of the day. San Francisco Police Chief Bill Scott announcing he's leaving San Francisco and returning to Los Angeles.
I wonder how much of a bump in pay we offered this guy to leave San Francisco. Although Bill Scott's originally from Los Angeles, he worked at LAPD for 29 years, so maybe he just wanted to come home.
He'll be replaced by Paul Yep as the interim chief, currently the city's public safety czar. ABC 7 News political reporter Monica Madden here live in studio with us with the details. Monica.
Larry, SFPD Assistant Chief David Lazar tells me that command staff were called for a rare 8 a.m. meeting this morning in which Chief Scott let them know that he was stepping aside.
This all happened very quickly. I don't think he's officially leaving until June, but this all happened very quickly. I wonder how long he's been negotiating with the LA County Board of Supervisors and LA Metro.
It's leaving what many in the department say will be big shoes to fill as the city continues to move forward in ongoing efforts to reduce crime and modernize policing. In an emotional departure,
thought I'd get through this without tearing up, but it happens.
One of San Francisco's longest-serving chiefs of police announcing he's retiring from his role.
Now, when he leaves San Francisco, is he going to take his light sweaters with him, or is he going to keep them in case he ever goes back?
Scott came to San Francisco after spending 27 years with the LAPD.
We didn't know anything about this town except for I wanted to be here because it is that kind of city.
Then Mayor Ed Lee.
There is a fun energy about San Francisco that you really can't replicate anywhere in Los Angeles County.
Then Mayor Ed Lee named Scott chief of SFPD at the end of 2016.
County of San Francisco.
In his 8 years, he oversaw a steep decline in crime.
Well, yes, this is true. But he also oversaw a steep rise in crime because, unfortunately, the police chief is at the whim of whoever appoints them or whoever is in charge. And he went through 4 different mayors. And during the first half of London Breed's tenure as mayor of San Francisco, she was definitely in the camp of we need to do less when it comes to arrests. We need to have a multi-layered safety approach. We need to bring in the ambassadors. And then crime went to hell in San Francisco, and London Breed realized she wouldn't survive if she kept this up. So she started doing things like this. And so she rebranded. It was a little too late for the voters, but halfway through, she realized, okay, maybe we need to change how things are done. We went a little too far with the police commission handicapping the police to the point where, much like Oakland is dealing with now, up until they had a ballot measure that changed this back, San Francisco police officers could not pursue suspects. And you saw things like car break-ins at high levels that you'd never seen before. The crime in San Francisco was unbelievable. Now, is it better now? It very much is. But you can say, because Bill Scott's been there as long as he was around when crime went through the roof, but he was also there when crime went down.
But struggled to eliminate the city's open-air drug markets downtown.
My departure comes at a time of great momentum in the SFPD and in our city.
City Hall insider.
Well, and again, the police can only be responsible so much for clearing out the open-air drug markets. One, there has to be the political will from the mayor and the supervisors to do that clearing out, and police can make arrests. And they have a district attorney, Brooke Jenkins, who does a fantastic job, way better than Chesa Boudin, who is another factor that led to the big spike in crime in San Francisco, especially in the Chinatown area. But Brooke Jenkins can only do so much because you can arrest and you can prosecute. But if you have juries that are sympathetic to the homeless or to the illegal alien drug dealers because they say they're victims of human trafficking, or you have judges that slap everyone on the wrist like that repeat burglar over and over and over again, Robert Sanza, that gets reported on all the time by Dan Noyes at KGO about his lengthy criminal record where he's evaded arrest, he ran over a police officer's foot, and he keeps getting out. Those kind of repeat offenders continue to prey on San Franciscans every single day. So that's not all the police chief's doing.
In the SFPD and in our city.
City Hall insiders have long questioned if Mayor Daniel Lurie would bring in his own police chief after campaigning on public safety and leadership reforms. But 5 months into Lurie's new role, Scott stayed around, with the two offering words of praise for one another.
He has implemented important reforms that have helped the department build trust with communities.
Another thing that helped SFPD was the passing of Measure E, which allowed the San Francisco Police Department to buy more surveillance equipment like those license plate reader cameras, have a surveillance center, and get drones. And that's been really effective.
And improved.
To the point where, and it's very hard to believe anyone touting crime statistics these days, but ABC 7 went to the source. And what is the source when it comes to our crimes down in San Francisco? They went to a glass repair shop. And yes, they've lost a lot of business when it comes to car break-ins.
And improve public safety outcomes.
And under Mayor Lurie's leadership, that's become even better. Former
police commander and public safety czar Paul Yep will serve as interim chief starting Monday until the city finds a permanent replacement.
So is Scott going on a nice long paid vacation until the middle of June when he ends up in L.A.? Because good for him.
That I will not be a candidate for the role. And I am 100% committed to keeping this department on the right track and serving as a bridge.
Now, another issue, and this is going to impact not just Bill Scott when he was police chief in San Francisco, but when he will be this new police chief of a department that doesn't exist, is the hiring challenges that are through every police agency in the state of California. Part of SFPD's problems has been there's just not enough of them.
To our next chief.
The city's police union congratulated Chief Scott, adding, quote, "While we may not have always agreed on issues, we have always believed that each of us was doing what we felt was best for public safety." As for what's next, Scott is headed back to Los Angeles, where he will be LA Metro Transit's first ever police chief.
Although they're not calling it a police chief. They got some fancy new name for it.
This is the kind of opportunity that doesn't often come around. This is a one-in-a-lifetime opportunity in my mind.
Ultimately, the mayor will choose the city's next top cop from a list of candidates the police commission will make. Scott will officially leave San Francisco in June. Now, SFPD Assistant Chief David Lazar again tells me that Scott described this as one of the hardest decisions that he has ever made, with a deep love for our city.
I really want to know what he was getting paid in San Francisco and what they offered him to start up this non-existent police force at LA Metro.
But ultimately was ready to take on the new challenge when this opportunity presented itself. Live in the studio, Monica Madden, ABC 7 News.
So there you go. Bill Scott, after 8 years leading the SFPD, has left San Francisco and has already appeared in Los Angeles as the appointed chief of the LA Metro Community Transit Public Safety Department. Don't call it police. I don't know why. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. We'll find out how LA is reacting to this, but first, let's go to Tim in San Francisco. Tim, hello.
Hi, Randy. I love both of you, John, but I like Armstrong and Getty better. No offense or anything. Anyway, I'm a native San Francisco, and I'm 77 years old. One of the reasons the crime rate has gone down in San Francisco is not because anything the police do or don't do. Well, actually, it's what they don't do. They don't respond to most property crimes. If you have your window broken into your car, if somebody breaks into your house in the night and then you discover it the next morning, they'll send you a form to fill out. Most people don't even bother doing it because they know it's not going to be solved. That's one of the reasons why crime rate has gone down. nobody reports the crimes because they know nothing's going to be done about it. So that's my comment. Take it for what it's worth. Thanks
You're totally right, Tim. Thank you so much for the call. It's one of the problems that we see is that people are not reporting crimes when they don't think they're going to be solved. And when you say fill out a form online, you don't have someone there taking the statements and filling out the report because, well, they're understaffed. That's why it's hard to believe certain statistics about crime going down, especially in places like Oakland and San Francisco. The only thing that I totally believe, because there's two numbers that you have to believe. One is the murder rate, because you can't fake a body not being there. But two, it's specifically car break-ins have to be down because the glass companies are not getting as much business, which I guess is bad for them, but good for the city. Fox 11 gets the local reaction from Los Angeles on Bill Scott getting appointed to this non-existent police department that's not called a police department. Let's go.
Big deal here. LA Metro taking a big step towards making riders safer, in their view, creating its own in-house police department with hundreds of officers and appointing a new Metro Chief of Transit Police. He's worked for the LAPD and most recently was San Francisco's Chief of Police. Fox 11's Christina Gonzalez live. This is a big story, a big deal, Christina, because we talk about Metro and safety all the time.
Yes, they do. And we have several different incidents of crimes that happen on Metro that end up on our wall. That guy got macheted in Chatsworth.
And you may remember about 6 months ago, the Metro Board said they approved their own security department, as it were. Today they announced the new chief, and he told us about how many officers he expects to have on board. Check it out.
And I think eventually we'll be up to just under 700 officers.
Okay, now let's forget the nonsense of what's the actual difference between Metro being policed by the Sheriff's Department, which it used to be, or currently a contract between LAPD, the Sheriff's Department, and Long Beach PD, and 700 transit police officers. I don't really understand what's the difference and how they will do that job differently if their job is to enforce laws. What I really don't understand, though, is the how. Every single policing agency in the state of California is short officers. There are literal bidding wars when it comes to police that are graduating from academies, where Karen Bass notably complained that the city of Alameda in Alameda County was offering $75,000 signing bonuses for people to come from anywhere and transfer to that department. So how exactly are you going to start up a new department when it's so hard to hire officers now and hire 700 of them when you have a geographic region? Are you going to train 700 people from the ground up, or are you going to be poaching from all of your neighboring agencies, notably LAPD, Long Beach PD, the smaller contract cities, and the LA County Sheriff's Department? Because then you're making those numbers even smaller. I'm so confused of how this makes any sense outside of just the semantics. So we want our own police force. Because don't forget, LA Metro is governed by the LA County Board of Supervisors and members of the LA City Council and a few other cities. Whittier's there, Glendale's there, Pomona's there. But for the most part, it's the same people in charge, whether it's LA County Sheriff or it's the LA Metro Public Safety Department. So what's the point? Well, we'll continue to try to figure out what the point is. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. Bill Scott leaving SFPD for LA Metro's new non-existent police department. 800-222-5222. It's Randy Wang here. We're taking your phone calls at 800-222-5222. 1-800-222-5222. Your reaction to San Francisco Police Chief Bill Scott abruptly resigning his position to come down to LA to begin a new job as the police chief for a non-existent police force with LA Metro. 800-222-5222. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email us, you could do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Will writes in and says, what the hell? A longtime LAPD cop goes to San Francisco where he deliberately ruins that city, then gets a better job back in LA so he can finish us off? Does that sound familiar? If not, do a Google on the YouTube. It is fair to say that, yes, George Gascon was an LAPD officer. And then When he didn't become chief here, he went to other places like Mesa and got appointed to be police chief in San Francisco before Gavin Newsom, in his last act out the door, appointed him to be the district attorney of San Francisco. And then George Gascon abruptly quits that job to run for a district attorney in Los Angeles. So there are some interesting parallels there, but I would never want to directly compare Bill Scott to George Gascon because, well, George Gascon is George Gascon. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. Let's go to Michael in San Francisco. Michael, hello.
Well, hello. Hey, I missed the repartee, but you are doing an outstanding job of holding the fort down.
Thank you.
In God's absence. So at any rate, yeah, I think the answer to how they're going to come up with 700 Metro cops is pretty easy. They just lower the standards. I believe that's what they did to make the BART police.
So they're not going to be the level of standards that you need for SFPD officers or down here LAPD officers. It's going to be a lower tier. I mean, I wonder what standards they're going to lower. Is it fitness?
I think just training. I don't think that most – I might be talking out of my hat here, but I haven't checked this for ages, but I don't believe that most BART police are graduates of any police academy. And there have been some pretty remarkable instances. We had one a decade or two ago where there was some kid who was accused of stealing a radio on BART, and the person who called in the theft disappeared, so no one knows if the crime was actually committed. And the kid who stole the radio got off in some East Bay BART lot, and a BART cop with a canine asked him to stop. And the kid didn't stop. And instead of using the canine, which is what they're there for, he unloaded a shotgun in the kid's back, killing him.
Holy cow.
Yeah. It was poor training, I'd say.
That's why we want high standards for training officers, for sure. Wow, Michael, that's a wild story. Thanks so much for calling in, buddy. Appreciate it. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. Let's go to Mitchell in Citrus Heights. Mitchell, hello.
Hey, what it do, man?
Doing great.
All right. Hey, I was just calling because I thought it was kind of coincidental that they're hiring 700 police officers during their revamping of LA with the 2028 smart city. And I was thinking if it's anything like the China smart cities, it's basically a dystopian police state. And basically they regulate everything you do. If you outstep your carbon footprint or whatever, you can be locked, not just in your district, you could even be locked in your building.
Oh, boy, we're giving them way too many bad ideas that they're probably listening on. Mitchell, thank you so much for the call, buddy. Appreciate it. I sure hope that's not happening, but I wouldn't put it past them. The phone number to join us is 800-222-5222. Up and down the state of California, 800-222-5222. You can email us at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com and search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts. We're going through the big change in policing. In San Francisco, Bill Scott, the longtime police chief, left his post so he could come down to Los Angeles to be appointed the new chief of the LA Metro Community Transit Public Safety Department. They don't want to call it police. He says we're going to hire 700 officers. I don't know how, when it is already so difficult to hire officers at every policing agency throughout the entire state, let alone the local ones, LAPD and the LA Sheriff's Department and all the contract cities as well. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. There's also the confusion of what's exactly the difference between an LA Metro police officer and the police that are already patrolling the trains and the buses. Let's go to Hector in Southgate. Hector, hello.
Thank you, Randy. Yeah, no, I feel that nothing's going to change. He's just another puppet. You know, their hands are tied. As long as we have Karen Bass and this stays as a blue state, nothing's going to happen with crime.
Well, it's an interesting thing that you say, Hector, because what we do know is that police chiefs are pretty much at the whim of the elected officials who hired them. So it's not really what Bill Scott believes is right. It's what the LA Metro Board, which is composed of the Board of Supervisors and Karen Bass and members of the city council. And we know that a lot of them don't love the idea of police arresting people or kicking the homeless off the buses.
And he was in San Francisco, and the crime was through the roof over there. He didn't do anything. Same old, just another puppet.
Well, thanks so much for the call, Hector. Appreciate it. Again, it's interesting. He was there so long, he oversaw a historic rise in crime, and he oversaw a historic reduction in crime. Let's go to Dale in Long Beach. Dale, hello.
Yeah, Randy, when I was doing a little research yesterday, I found out when the Mass Transit Authority Police broke up in 1997, there was an article in the LA Times, and at least 27 Metropolitan Transportation Police Authority officers failed background checks for the LAPD because they were supposed to be absorbed into the Sheriff's Department and the LAPD. So we want top quality people wherever they're going to come from.
So you get this straight, and that's fascinating. So when they originally dissolved the RTD police and made that a sheriff's contract, they couldn't transfer the employees over because they failed background checks.
27 of them, according to the LA Times article from July 3rd, 1997.
Well, and this is the thing. If you're going to hire 700 new officers in this environment, that might be the only way you can do it is to lower the standards.
There's another great one for you, Randy. In 2016, State Senator Holly Mitchell, State Senate Bill 1380 is the one that lowered the standard for not having to be clean. They got any permanent housing.
Oh, I'm well aware of that one. I tout that every single day. She's the queen of housing first, and we've got to stop electing her. Thanks so much for the call, Dale. Appreciate it. Let's go to James in Azusa. James, hello.
Hey, Randy. This shows Karen Bass's sense of urgency. We got a reservoir that ain't fixed yet, and we got to wait 5 years for safety on the trains. I think it takes this is why it's going to be mentioned in 5 years, that I think it takes about 5 years to train an officer to pay attention to the passengers on the platforms and not their phones.
Well, and what we're doing right now is we cede a lot of that authority to the ambassadors, and that's all the ambassadors do is play on their phones. And it was a little disheartening that at the press conference where Bill Scott was announced, they kept referring to the ambassadors over and over and over again as a multi-layered public safety approach.
Well, one more thing, Randy. Hey, the title of this new agency, this woke title, I should say, tells you the whole story. It's the new failure.
That, I think, is a huge point. Thanks so much for the call, James. Appreciate it. Isn't it a little weird that while they voted to create a police agency, they don't want to call this LA Metro Police? They're calling it the LA Metro Community Transit Public Safety Department. I might have two of those words backwards, but I'm going off of memory here. Hey, let's go to Patrick in San Francisco. Patrick, hello.
Yeah, hi. You guys are wondering what Bill Scott's going to be like down there. I'm from San Francisco, and he is a yes man. So whatever board or organization you have overseeing him, he's going to say yes to every stupid proposal they have with no common sense pushback. Unfortunately, he's not dumb, but he's not in it for the right reasons. He's just in it to get a paycheck. So good luck with that.
Unfortunately, that's what we see with a lot of police chiefs, because what typically happens is if you offer too much pushback, they fire you and replace you with somebody that will be a yes man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Another thing is with getting cops to whatever that thing is down there, there is a nationwide crisis of getting people into police work. And a lot of it has to do with just the public sentiment. And then even listening to this show, there was a guy that called on earlier who said that the BART police don't have to get trained. BART police has training. They're post-certified. That guy has no idea what he's talking about. And it's just all these people that have ideas that are just misinformed completely, or they know enough to be woefully wrong.
Well, and to that point, Patrick, I think it's really important what you say. The sentiment is what put us in this crisis to begin with. The defund the police movement, the BLM riots of 2020, the whole idea that people all of a sudden want to reduce police budgets. It caused a lot of people to decide, maybe I don't want to do this. Maybe it's time to early retire. And there's a lot of people that may have wanted to go into policing that don't feel the government has police's back. And that kind of damage is going to take years to undo.
Not only that, you got a lot of highly trained individuals from bigger cities that got sick of the politics, sick of the nonsense, and they've lateraled. So like your smaller suburban cities, if they're managed, relatively well, they're actually going to be pretty well staffed. it's your bigger cities with all the stupid politics and all that a lot of the senior and more veteran people are just like, yeah, we can't do this anymore. So, yeah.
Oh, you're totally right. There's a lot of lateral transfers going on. Thanks so much for the call, Patrick. Appreciate it. And look, if you're in Los Angeles County and you want to be a police officer, and thank you for doing that, that's incredible, and you had a choice between LAPD and Burbank PD, well, if Burbank was paying the same, you know that your life is going to be a lot safer in Burbank. And people in Burbank like their police officers. If you're in the Bay Area, do you want to be in San Francisco or do you want to go across the Golden Gate Bridge to Marin County? Hey, let's go to Bill in La Cañada. Bill, hello.
Yeah, Randy, exactly. I wonder how traditional San Francisco policing is going to blend in with this L.A. County girl boss wokeness. I know what you're thinking, punk. Is Metro patrolled by 6 law enforcement agencies or only 5? Well, to tell you the truth, I lost track myself in all the excitement. But being how you just urinated on my shoes, that's your final warning.
Thanks so much for the call, Bill. Appreciate it. That's your final warning. Let's get back into LA's reaction to Bill Scott moving from SFPD to the chief of the LA Metro Community Transit Public Safety Force, or whatever the hell they're calling it.
And I think eventually we'll be up to just under 700 officers.
It's the new Metro Public Safety Department headed by new chief Bill Scott. He actually resigned today as San Francisco police chief and is actually returning to LA, where he was deputy chief at LAPD's South Bureau. So he's familiar with the city and the safety problems Metro has been dealing with. From hijacked buses being chased by LAPD to passengers robbed, shot, and stabbed. This one on video in Encino.
Those are all just in the last year.
Just last April, a woman murdered at the Universal City Station in what police call a random attack. The new chief saying,
Can't stop every crime from happening, but there is a less likely possibility when you have adequate and consistent deployment. And officers need to get on buses and ride them and be present.
That is important. And if you have the staffing to do that, that would be great. I just don't know how you get to a 700 number. And bless her, Janice Hahn loves the bus driver. I love the bus driver. And she's come up with this plan to screen for weapons at metro stations. And I think that's great. But how exactly do you enforce that or even have that technology on a system of hundreds of buses and bus stops where a lot of this crime is happening?
He'll play a key role making public transit effective and safe for the upcoming World Cup and Olympics when visitors like this man will be using it.
Well, I mean, I don't think the police agency will be up and running by then, but sure.
I'm a visitor from England.
Wow.
Yeah. And
have you heard about what happens in Metro out here?
No, well, some people did say, be careful about using the Metro.
It's not as dignified as riding the tube.
We headed to downtown Metro stations before the Scott announcement to ask riders what they would tell the new chief. Do you feel safe riding Metro?
Yeah.
No.
Listen to how Christina Gonzalez asked that question.
Do you feel safe riding Metro?
I have to save that. That's great.
Do you feel safe riding Metro?
We'll find out if that passenger feels safe. Next, 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Whether you're in the Bay Area, whether you're in Southern California, your reaction to Bill Scott abandoning SFPD to come down to L.A. to be the new chief of the L.A. Metro Community Transit Public Safety Department. 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email us, you could do so at johnnydontlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydontlikeshow@gmail.com. Cindy writes in and says, I'm loving you guys. I've only just recently discovered you guys, and I'm elated with your content and your take. Way to go for hammering down on Karen Ass Ricardo Liar, and Gavin Newsense, and every other politician and fraud we Californians are suffering from. Hallelujah to both of you. I'm a conservative living in Marin County. Yes, it's lonely. I lived and worked in Orange County previously and then went to Marin County. Please keep up this amazing show. You both are brilliant. We're so glad to hear that. We love hearing how you discovered the show, where you're listening from in the state of California, or even everyone who's listening out of the state of California. Email us at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Casey writes in and says, hey, Randy, love the show. Here is Bill Scott's salary. I'm sure L.A. will double it. His 2023 regular pay was $397,000 with other pay and benefits. It was up to $527,000. Oh, I guarantee LA Metro's paying him at least $750,000. I mean, that's how much we paid for Janice Quinones of the LA DWP, and we're paying Barbara Ferrer $600,000, and she's not even a doctor. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. Let's go to Ed in Corona. Ed, hello.
Hi, this is Ed.
Howdy.
Yeah, I'm a retired police officer, two agencies, 47 years in law enforcement. In the mid-'90s, I was working City of Whittier and doing the hiring, and we had a lot of Metro RTD people come through looking for a job because they were disbanding, and the vast majority of them had lawsuit problems. They were referred to as a second chance agency, and they were just people would stay a few years and they'd leave, or they'd get hired and they'd go somewhere else. Their hiring standards were so low, I think even the chief of police was a second chance hire.
Oh, my goodness. Well, and you got to imagine if they're trying to do this all over again. It's funny how history repeats itself, and they're trying to hire 700 officers in the next 5 years. You either have to poach from the other agencies around, which is a terrible idea, or you're going to have to lower the standards.
Well, to be honest with you, 700 is not easy to hire. If you look at the ratio of 10%, they're going to need 7,000 applicants to get 700 people. And I don't know how many non-sworn or civilian applicants will be in that process. And the budget for a new agency, I've been through part of this before, it is prohibitively expensive. I don't know what their budget is, but it's got to be north of $100 million.
And Metro's already in hundreds of millions of dollars of debt, so they're already talking about putting a ballot measure for a bond for $20 billion to bail out Metro because they know they don't have the money to pay for this thing.
Yeah, I mean, they need uniforms and police cars and competitive pay and benefits and property, and to cover such a wide area, I can't see how it's going to be done. It's absurd.
Yeah, I don't know if this thing's going to get to the finish line, but I guess Bill Scott's getting paid either way. Ed, thank you so much for the call, and thank you for 47 years of service, buddy. We really appreciate that.
I just wanted to mention, someone mentioned about the BART police. BART police are actually police officers. They went through the county, and they are probably the highest paid agency in the state, topping out at over $200,000 for the officers.
Wow. Nice work if you can get it. Yeah. Ed, thanks so much for the call, buddy. Appreciate it. All right, let's find out. Back to Fox 11 and Christina Gonzalez.
Do you feel safe driving Metro?
That's the best.
Yeah. No, I don't feel safe. I just, they can bring as much head of security as they want to, but it doesn't change the people that still come around.
That is true. We can have what we have, but unless we're going to get serious about kicking people off that aren't paying fares, which they're working on, or the people that want to live there or do drugs there, well, we're going to have the same result.
He refers.
It's not like LAPD, Long Beach PD, and the LA County Sheriff's Department don't want to do their job. They were told to stand down. And that's what happened during COVID and the BLM riots. And then we turned the entire system into one giant moving homeless shelter.
He refers to the many homeless people we saw at the station, but they say they're the clients, not always the problem.
Yeah, but how often are they the problem?
If you look like you're homeless at a bus stop, they're going to ride right past you. If you hold your tap.
Well, I mean, the bus driver, who Janice loves, let's never forget that, wants to make sure they don't get spat on or stabbed by someone who probably doesn't have the money to pay the fare.
If you hold your tap, you have your tap card held out, you could jump in front of the bus, and they're going to probably run you over to not stop for you.
We've been sitting.
I don't think that's true, but sure.
We've been sitting here waiting for the bus, and people have been complaining all day.
Security did usher this group away, saying they were loitering. Will the public see more of this in the future? What's Scott saying?
There are other things besides enforcement to deal with those problems. Sometimes enforcement is the answer, sometimes it's not.
And he touted the ambassadors a whole lot, which does not give me a whole lot of confidence, because that's part of how we got here. When 2020, when Metro voted to reimagine public safety with a public safety advisory board appointed by friends of Mike Bonnet and Holly Mitchell.
And I do remember dealing with Chief Scott while he was at South Bureau. Very nice man, but I'll tell you one thing about him. He is definitely into the whole community policing thing, so expect to see a lot of that. He starts in about a month. In downtown Los Angeles, I'm Christina Gonzalez. Back to the studio.
There you go. Bill Scott leaving SFPD, heading to L.A. to be the new chief of a police agency that doesn't want to be called a police agency that also does not exist.
Do you feel safe driving Metro?
We'll follow this, and if we have time later, we'll hear what Janice has to say about this, because Janice loves this. And she loves the bus driver.